Hi, my name's Dr. Jenny Rakeley. I'm a GP working in the NHS and I also specialise in dermatology. So I'm here today to talk to you about shin splints and how to get rid of them. So there are two types of shin splints, although symptom-wise they feel about the same. They culminate in sharp shooting pain, intermittent, occurring in the shin area. So the first type of shin splint is where you get a feeling of pain more towards the inner side of your shin in the front, and that can be caused by a muscle, one of your shin muscles getting inflamed, and the connection between that muscle and the lining of the bone next to that muscle gets inflamed as well, and that gives you the pain. So the things that can cause it usually are ill-fitting shoes, running on hard surfaces too much, or running on camber, or running on different types of surfaces such as track and then concrete. Also inherited in-pointing of the toes when you're running. So those are things that can predispose to it. So initially you start getting pain just after running, then you start getting pain during running, and then you can even start getting pain even going up and down stairs. So the main thing is when you get that pain is rest, ice, compression, elevation, and anti-inflammatories to reduce that inflammation. So something like ibuprofen tablets or diclofenac tablets prescribed by your GP, or you can, if it's very mild, you can use lotion versions of the ibuprofen and the diclofenac as well. You can also use MSM aloe vera anti-inflammatory gel, which is a more natural anti-inflammatory. You can just put it on as much as you like and there's no side effects. And Forever do a very good version of that. And then once the pain subsides, then you need to look at why you got the shin splint in the first place. So if it's because of in-pointing of the toes, then if you go to a podiatrist, they can give you orthotics to try and realign the position of the feet when you're running. So the second type of shin splint is more towards the outer side of your shin area, and you get that from hill running, from wearing shoes that are too loose for you. So when you get the pain, it's because you get an inflammation of the shin muscle on the outside of your shin, and that basically expands, and there's a sheath around that muscle, and that reduces the blood supply to that muscle. That causes even more expansion of the muscle, and it makes the pain worse. So that's a slightly more serious version of shin splint, where you do have to stop what you're doing, and again it's rest, ice, compression, elevation, anti-inflammatories. But when it's very severe, it can actually cause a lot of problems with the blood supply, and you might need surgery to relieve that pressure. So I hope that's been useful in helping you prevent and to minimize the symptoms from shin splints, and thank you for listening.